Hi, everyone. I usually get the question on how to go about preparing for the test, and really there's three parts to it. One is scheduling yourself for the exam. The second part typically is how do I go about organizing myself or getting myself set to take the test. And the third one is usually what do I do to stay on track or tracking myself during the exam. So in this first video, what we're going to do is look at when do I set up and schedule my test? How do I go about getting ready for it and things like that? Because one of the biggest challenges is once we are done with the exam here, or classes rather, how do I stay on harness and things like that? Okay, so let me pull up sharing the screen here for a second, and I'm going to bring up my whiteboard here. And you can see my whiteboard on the screen here. And often what I tell folks is to let's go in and create a calendar. So that's what I'm going to do on the screen here. So this would be, let's see, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So let's drop our lines and then we'll put in, let's just say, I'm going to do the next 6 weeks. Okay. So let me drop those lines in here. So here's the next 6 weeks. And I'll write this on the right side here, but often APICS or ASCM will say, hey, you need 80 to 100 hours of time to prep for the exam. And that includes your class time and your studying time. So one of the first things to look at is go in and subtract the time you've taken for class so far. So let's say 32 hours. So now that leaves you 48 to 68 hours. And perhaps you've done about a dozen hours worth of reading on your own. So now you're down to another 36 to 56 hours you need. And that's what we got to plot out here and figure out where that time falls. Now, one of the things I'm a big fan of is, in life, we've got work, self, family, community commitments, spiritual commitments, all those other things. And now we're adding one more with prepping for the exam. And one of the challenges and traps we get into is we may say, okay, I don't have time today, but I'll do it tomorrow. And Friday becomes Saturday, Saturday becomes Sunday, and so on. And pretty soon, boom, we're still struggling to get started. I'm a fan myself of working backwards and putting in your time commitments where you know you will not study for the exam because you have other commitments in life. I'm not convinced personally that we get that time to study unless we block in and organize ourselves and make sure we get those other commitments done in life because those are important as well. So you may say, you know what, I'm not going to do Saturdays because that's my family time. I'm not going to do Sundays because that's community and spiritual time. I've got a class I go to for exercise every other Tuesday and Thursday. So you block those out. Every other Friday night might be something else you've got going on, as well as every other Monday and Wednesday, perhaps. So I'm just going to block those out. And then you look at what is left here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in this case, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 open spots over the next 6 weeks. So you look at those and say, okay, if I can do 2 hours a session, 16 times 2 is 32 hours, then you're down to 4 to 24 hours left at that point. Now, the challenge is you've got to put together a structure in place for those 16 dates that's going to support you doing your studying time. Myself, when my kids were little, when our children were little and they were like 3 and 6, I would do it at bedtime when it was time for them to go to bed because Kathy and I would always have them read a book, or even if they couldn't read, look at the pictures. That was just an important thing to us. And while they were doing that, I was doing my reading for studying at the same time because I could support what we needed as a family. Their reading also supported me. So that's what I did because unfortunately, as an instructor, a facilitator learning, we're not always able to be there for these other 16 sessions. So you have to build a support group around that. So if we look at this right here and you say, okay, 4 to 24 hours, then you're probably 2 more sessions away from being able to take the exam. So you can look at the data on the calendar and say, okay, maybe I need one more week and I'll have my studying done. And then boom, now you know when you can take the test. And that's when you lock in, because nothing gets you to study more or faster or better than locking in a date. You may decide, you know what, I'm going to do more than 2 hours a session, so I can guarantee I get it done within the 6 week window, and then you'll be able to take the exam quicker. You may go a little bit longer. 2 hours is working fine. So now 2 hours a session means you're going to need another 12 sessions if you're going to go for the 100 hours. And then you're probably looking at another 4 or 5 weeks. So I would schedule, I'd block it out like this, block out the times you know you will not study, see what you have left, and then take it from there, and then lock in and build in that support structure to help you. And then of course reach out to us as you have questions. And so you stop sharing here. I think that would be my suggestion on trying to figure out when to take the exam as well as scheduling for the exam.